Frankie, great to have a chance to speak with you. Mad respect because you are such a mix of old school, middle school, and new school. Seeing somebody like you combine so much, and I don't know, do you have the nickname Mr. Energy? Because when I see your shows and performances, I mean, you could have acts today who have 50 dancers and whatever else. You singly can outdo them with that so much energy. It's amazing. And the best part is we're not talking about recordings, we're not talking about backtracking. You are real 24 on that stage. You're amazing, my friend.
Thank you so much. It's just a lot of espresso. Drink a lot of
uh,
coffee, a little bit of whiskey, and and then cross my fingers.
man, where does that energy and love come from? Because you give so much to the audience and your fans, and you could see that every time you step up to that microphone.
I mean, really, it's just I've been doing this my whole life, right? I've been doing it since I was a tiny little kid, and I'm a fan of music, Like it's cool that I get to play it and it's great that I know how and I've learned all the stuff, but like I'm a fan. I love listening to it. I love hearing it. If I wasn't on the stage, I'd be in the audience watching someone else. And so also getting to do, we do original music, right?
Yeah.
Like all the songs with it. So it's got this super old school thing because all I grew up on was Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis and Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder and like just all the kind of the edgy
Yeah.
definement of rock and roll, right? And so when I went, doing those songs was like one thing, like singing their songs was cool and exciting and fun, but it never sounded like when I do What I Say by Ray Charles, it does not sound like Ray Charles because I'm so used to hearing his killer voice and the way the recording was with the band with the certain mics. I can never achieve that. So it was never super fun to sing it. I just wanted to hear it because like I couldn't match him. So I started writing my own stuff because I had nothing to compare it to, right? And then because it's my own stuff, it's my own stories, it's my own feelings. So when I'm on the stage, I'm feeling it 1,000,000%. There's no trying to get into the song. It's like I'm telling you my story. Here's a good example. If you're telling a story someone's told you about your friend Tim, and you
Yeah.
say, my friend Tim did this and blah blah blah, you could tell it, and you could tell it well if you're a good storyteller because you've heard the story. But if you're telling a story, guess what I did yesterday? You got so much more heart in it, right? And you know exactly. And if they ask any questions, you got the answers because you did it, you lived it. So for me on the stage, I'm just super comfortable surrounding myself with good guys who I'm comfortable with, and then I can just be me and just not use my brain, just sing from the heart and just and have fun. And I guess that's what brings all the energy, really.
Does this explain it? I have to read this because this is off of your website, and I looked around and it says the same thing. 17 top 10 albums, five going number one. Was it 117 top 10 singles in the top 100? Emmy nomination, and also being named headliner of the year five times. Like, man, like
Yeah,
when you hear that,
yeah, that's
like, and
weird.
you're so young too. Like,
It just
that's an amazing. Those are amazing accomplishments for a guy so young.
it is weird to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, when you're doing it, you're just living it, right? Like when we are making all those
Mhm.
recordings and stuff like that, we were just weren't thinking about anything and just making recordings. And the next thing you know, we start getting some hits and then all of a sudden you got 10, you got 20, you got four. We now have 100 number one singles on iTunes. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so we hold the record. We hold the record for that. And then, but it wasn't because we were trying to get 100 number ones. We were just not on tour, and I was just writing songs all the time and just recording them. All those things just kind of happen, and there's no real game plan for the music business. You know what I mean? You just strive for something and you hope to hit it, and that's all you can do.
It's one thing about hitting it, it's home runs that makes the difference. And that's what you do. One of the big home runs that we're going to have is you performing at Fallsview Casino. What's that show going to be like, man? And we're so happy you're coming up to the Niagara Falls area.
I can't wait. So we've been on a tour. The last 2 months I've been on tour. I'm home today. I'm here in my studio today for one day. I'm only home one day in like 2 months, and
Wow.
it's been I've been I mean just here to repack and get everything set. I'm going to Nashville tomorrow, and then we're doing a bunch of shows there, and then we're going to Florida, and then we're coming out to you guys. And I've been looking it online because I've never played there. I've been looking it up online. It looks amazing. It looks beautiful. Friends who have been there have told me, like other musicians who have played there have told me, oh, this is like great. So I'm super excited. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of come out there and, I'm coming out with my band. I'm going to read the room. You know what I mean? I know we got a giant list of material, and so I'm going to do my stuff, but like, for someone who's never seen us, it's not unfamiliar, I guess would be the word. It sounds like if you like old school rock and roll and just it's got all that in it. Of course, I'm adding, we're in 2024, so it's not just this a copy of that sound. It's modernized, but it's all based off of that old, I'm looking at your 45 ring there, your necklace, like that. That's what it's all based off. It's all based off just old school, just energy rock and roll. You know what I mean? Just like fun, not a lot of message to it. Just let's go listen to some rock and roll and groove.
No, it's more than that. It's rock and roll soul. I'm going to add the soul part.
There you
And
go.
I am actually surprised that even though, a lot of people don't do it, I'm surprised you never tried a James Brown tune
Oh
because
man, I
I
do
think
lots of
you
James
could do
Brown.
it.
I've done lots of James, but like I said, like I just haven't. We just don't do a lot of covers in the show. We do originals. So I've got a couple songs I wrote like totally with that theme, with the James Brown theme. James Brown is one of my favorite. I mean, who doesn't like James Brown? That's God, that guy, that's super singular. Like there's a perfect example. So if you try to do James Brown, it's not James Brown. Especially if I
Mhm.
go up there singing to, it's like you go, he's not nailing it. You know what I mean? I can't wear the crazy outfits and the capes and stuff like that, but that's super influence. That groove going behind, love all that, man. Like that's to me, everything comes from all those guys that we just named. Everything comes from that. You know what I mean? No matter what anybody listens to these days, pop, like all the pop stuff now is super computer driven, and I like to keep it live instruments in all my records. I don't do any computer stuff. Um, but it's what's driving, it's what's you can't deny it. You can't like I'm not going to be grumpy about
We
it, but
we all come, but you notice the industry has come back to
right,
realism, right down to vinyl. So it
absolutely.
all comes back.
For me, yeah, we started pressing a lot of our music on vinyl now because, CDs now, that's not even, we still sell them at shows, but I don't own a CD player. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. So we're starting to press on vinyl again. The other thing is just I personally think as the music industry changes and all that, there's nothing like someone sitting there with a guitar or a piano or a drum. If someone's in front of you, right in front of you, making music on a piece of wood, that'll never die. Like record sales are changing. We have Spotify. Everybody's getting music for free now. No one waits in line to buy a record anymore. So that changes the value of music. Unfortunately, like for me who spent a whole lifetime in music, I've seen it where like the excitement of a new album coming out to just like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. And someone plays you a sample on their phone. They go, listen to this. That's cool. 20 seconds. They don't sit down. That's why vinyl, you have to sit down. People say vinyl sounds better. I don't know. I don't know what the argument in that is. But what it does is it makes you sit down and focus. You got 22 minutes on each side. You got to flip it. You're engaged. And so music industry and recording music has changed, but live music, man, is live music. It never goes. I'd rather hear a bad band than no band. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It depends,
You,
I guess.
Yeah, you know what? I feel sorry for the youngsters out there who have no idea what it was like to say maybe skip class or after school or even on the weekend,
All right,
head over to that record shop, the big one,
all
and
right.
spend hours just thumbing through albums, finding an album. You don't know who the group is, but you loved what the cover looked like.
Yep.
You looked at the back, you might have seen one or two names that you recognized. You bought it, went home, opened up the plastic,
Yeah.
Just you didn't rip the plastic off. You just opened up because you wanted to keep that plastic on the album. Put
Right.
it on your record player and play it from beginning to end. Flip it over and do it again.
Yep.
I feel
There's
bad that they don't have that experience.
well, now the only thing that competes with that now is like wine. That's how we pick out our bottles of wine now. You go into a
Yeah.
Total Wine or a Lee's Liquor or something like that, and there's just um you're picking it by the cover and you're giving it a shot, right? That's how we used to do the records. They won't experience that, but I do think no matter what is being listened to by the new generations and everything, live music, when you walk into a room and you hear a good band
Mhm.
or a cool singer or a great
Yeah.
song, always gets you. Something about when you hear the drums, like you're talking about James Brown. I mean, just when that's just going on, like, and you walk into that room and the horns pile in and the bass is, there is no, you're there. You're there. You go, you get a drink and you just, let's see what this is all about. And then you hope that the singer can entertain you. And that's where energy is important. You got to have energy, you know.
The other thing that's important too that you do well is fashion. How did you come up with the clothes, the look that you have? Because again, man, to me, that's old school cool.
So that's funny because I was just right before I was coming up here. That's why I was hopped on here like just in the last second. I'm trying to pack clothes for we have the next 2 weeks of this leg of tours, and we have like I don't know 15 shows, and I'm trying to pack all these different suits. I hate being seen in the same thing twice. I hate it. I hate when you walk into the room and I'm in a pink leather suit, for instance, right? Oh, that's cool. Then you come back tomorrow and I'm in that pink leather suit. Not so cool,
Hmm.
right? So there's a problem. That's an expensive hobby. So I gotta get all these clothes and then I'm just constantly. So we luckily we have some like Dolce and Gabbana and John Varvatos and Gucci. They sponsor me, so they'll. But man, I have storage units full of suits that I've never even seen. And like, but that's part of the show, right? I mean, you see with your just like you said, you pick out a label because of the way it looks. You got to walk in and you got to see the band's got to look hot and the sound's got to be right and the drinks got to be cold and the
Yeah.
temperature in the room's got to be right. You got to have a good, friendly group of people in there. If everyone's being in there and fighting, whatever, you're not going to walk in the room. Everything's just got to be right. Everything down to the jacket you got on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. What would you say is the one song that you have to perform at your show? And if you don't, they're going to burn the place down. And I don't want the Avalon Theatre being burnt down. All right.
Right.
So, what's the one song you have to do?
I would say it's a song. It's oddly enough, it's a ballad. It's an acoustic ballad that I do called "The
Yeah.
Good Old Days." We wrote "The Good Old Days." That's been our biggest seller. We did 500,000 copies of that in like the first week. Um, that's our biggest seller. It's just a song. It's just a very kind of acoustic-y kind of song, I sing. But if we don't play that, like I get messages. That one, and we open with a song called "Long Black Cadillac." That's kind of just a rocker, and if we don't play that, people tend to complain a little bit. So I try not to ever play the same songs all the time because I don't want to be stuck as an artist that has to do a certain song because then it's tricky because then like what if I don't feel like doing that song but I have to, then I'm gonna be a robot. But
Yeah.
luckily the one that they want to hear is one that's an emotional one that I can, our show is kind of geared like we're hitting them. I got a horn section, everything. We're hitting them. But but we go in waves. I bring them down. Sometimes you want you to. It's an emotional show. We want you to be laughing sometimes, and we want you to be up and filled with energy and dancing. We want you to do a shot with us, and then we want you to sit and remember past times and trying to just spark all the different emotions. It's not just we're talking about all these artists and they all brought their like James Brown makes you go like this, right? Ray Charles is one of the coolest voices, I think, in
Yeah.
our era of music. Elvis Presley with the cool, weird movements that we hadn't seen people do. Jerry Lee Lewis, where he's, throwing his hands back and play the piano. All that stuff. I'm trying to put all of that into one show of songs that you've never heard before. I'm trying to showcase all those moments. Like, oh, there's that James Brown thing, but oh, then it's off of it and it's into somebody else, you know. Um, so I like to kind of design the show in an arc and just really not use set lists and stuff, just kind of feel the crowd. And if I got you dancing for 10 minutes in a row, it's like, okay, maybe it's time to do a slow song, you know?
I was going to ask, have you ever injured yourself on stage and try not to let the audience know and
I'm a
continue the
wreck.
rest of the show?
I'm a wreck, man. Every time I try to do those things, I throw back and play the piano, like my back's all, I ain't 20 years old anymore, man. My back's all messed up. I've had like bass player hit me in the eye with his bass trying to sing, and like my eye is like bulging. Yeah, I mean it's an active show, so you know there's odds of things happening. Been electrocuted with the microphone. Um,
I
but
don't
it's
mean to laugh.
but no, but it's great. But it's all it's. I mean, you know, it's such a fun, easy job, right? You know, people, you know, we get to meet people after all our shows everywhere we go, all over the world, and you meet people, and there's like the autograph lines and stuff, and you talk to people, and they go, "Man, I love it. I love what you do. You do this. It's great." And I go, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm just this," or "Oh, I'm just this." And you know, "Oh, I'm just, you know, I'm a mechanic or something." You go, "Well, I have no idea how to do anything on a car." So for me, that's interesting. You know, for me, the music part, like this is not exciting for me. It's just what I do, right? So everyone's got this cool thing. So you kind of realize though, like it is my job is unique in the sense that you work that 1.5 hours, you know, 90 minutes, you go on a stage and everyone's like, "Yay." And then that's your job. But they don't see the job behind it is there's a lot, you know, you just always I'm always writing songs.
Mhm.
But that being said, it comes with, you know, it comes with the chance that stuff could go wrong on stage. It comes with the chance that flights get canceled and you're traveling and you're living out of suitcases. It comes with a lot of stuff. So I mean, I guess when you sign up for this job, you're just prepared for the weirdest lifestyle ever, you know. So,
But those 90 minutes, you help people, you help bring them a little bit closer. You
mhm.
help them whatever problems that they may be going through at home, and you for at least 90 minutes let them forget that. And even when they leave the show for whatever length of time, they get still have that enjoyment feeling. How does it feel knowing that you're helping to provide that? And even before the show, knowing that people have that
Buzzing.
anticipation of, you know what, things have been lousy, but I'm gonna have a good time here.
You know what? It's exactly I share the exact same thing. You know, I just happen to be on the stage. I'm bringing the music to the potluck, you know what I mean? But I'm still at the party. So I'm going also to forget the stuff that going on in my day, or you know, maybe this happened or this happened, but like but in that 90 minutes, it's all about like, you know, when you're talking about the buzz of getting there, like I'm prepping, I'm mentally thinking of these shows all day, every day. You know, I always got that little bit of a buzz. What? Oh, I could do this better. What if we put the band in all these outfits? And you know, like, you know, you start thinking of stuff like you start thinking of that. But that 90 minutes, it's not just me doing something to help. It's me also getting helped. You know what I mean? So it's important for me to make sure when you're listening that you're connecting to the music, whether it's lyrically. Some people are listening to the lyrics and it, oh my gosh, he's speaking to me. I just lost my love and he's just saying about that. And some people are like, I'm just grooving, like, oh my God, that drummer is just on it. You know, like whatever you're taking away, I am then feeding off of your feelings. Our show, I guess you would say our show, I'm completely hyper focused on the emotional sense of it and the feeling. I'm not worried about hitting wrong notes. Who cares? I know my instruments. I've been playing my instruments since I was 2 years old. I know it. It's just like breathing. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get the hiccups. So what, right? You know how to breathe. For me,
Absolutely, man. You know, I remember back in the day, there were so many great shows that were on that you're probably never going to see. I remember watching, you know, American Bandstand. I
of
remember
course.
watching, I'm trying to think, Dance Fever. I remember watching that. I remember watching Casey Kasem's America's Top 10 that was on
Yep.
television. And the
Yep.
other show we used to watch was Star Search. And it's
Yeah.
funny because I'm going through trying to find videos I couldn't find your performance, man. You were there.
Yeah, if you just go into YouTube and put Frankie Moreno Star Search.
So
I
it
think
is
it,
there.
I think it's there. I was 10 years old.
How did
That
that
was like
happen, man?
that was the American Idol of the day. So I mean, that was the
Yeah.
big show, right? Ed McMahon was the host. Um, God, I started playing piano when I was like 3 years old, and I was
Hmm.
super into like Mozart, right? Because I was piano. And then my dad showed me a Jerry Lee Lewis record. I'm like,
Corrupted you.
so Jerry Lee's like, he's got his hairs all falling down. He's just, and I'm like, what is this? Like I remember, I don't remember, I must have been 7. I don't remember a lot about that age, but I remember that feeling I had when I saw that the first time. It's like, well, that's what I want to do. So
Mhm.
how do I combine Jerry Lee Lewis with Mozart? How do I, because I was at that time I was pretty, I wasn't like, I didn't take lessons or anything, but I could play. I was pretty advanced player. One of those little freaks you see on like Ellen DeGeneres. I could play Mozart at 3 years old, just because I don't know why. And so when I saw Jerry Lee, there was a weird like, oh my gosh, the energy in that. So how can I play like Mozart, but in the style of Jerry Lee? So that was like the whole goal. Then about 8 years old, my dad comes in one day and he's like, check this out. And he puts on this Elvis Presley movie, Jailhouse Rock, and Elvis is singing it. And it's a movie, so it's like, it's a corny movie. But in the scene, like Elvis is singing on the stage, and then he gets off the stage, and the manager in the movie hands him his check, and then he walks out, and all the girls come around. I'm like, huh. Well, that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? I like all of those things. So then how do you combine Elvis, Jerry Lee, and Mozart? So that was like the focus. Then I'm watching, we're watching Star Search, and this country band came on. It was called Sawyer Brown, and they were
And
kind of
they
like,
won. I remember that. They won.
right. And they were kind of like, he kind of moved like, they were a country band, but he kind of moved like Elvis and stuff. So I kind of like, nobody was doing that,
Yeah.
back in the late 80s, right? Nobody was doing that. So I'm like, okay, well, this guy's the closest thing to what I like. Because there is no more Elvis. I mean, Ray Charles was still around,
Mhm.
but he wasn't 1962 Ray Charles. You know what I mean?
No. No, he had to come
Jerry
back
Lee
in
was
he had to come back in the 90s. So it took some time.
right. So it was like, but they were coming back as like an older version of themselves, just kind of playing the hits.
Yes.
When they came out with something to prove, and all, I've only seen videos of that in the 50s and 60s. I've only seen videos. So I've never seen anybody actually doing that kind of energy. There was all the hair bands in the 80s, but they were all guitar players. It didn't interest me. I played piano.
Mhm.
So here comes this Sawyer Brown. I'm like, oh my God, well, I wasn't thinking I liked the band. I go, well, if they're on that show, that's kind of what I do. I want to be on this show. So we sent in a video of me playing the piano, and they're like, we don't have a category for that. But they responded. I mean, that was American Idol. So that was like, we got a letter back. And there was no email. It was a letter.
That's
And
right.
and when we got that email back, they said, if you could send us something of him singing, they say to my parents, like, let's look at that. So we get that. So I instantly take some voice lessons, and I record myself doing that. Great Balls of Fire, Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire. And we send it in. A letter comes back. We'd like to have you come audition. I auditioned. I got on the show. I didn't win the show, but I went on, and I was 10, and it aired when I was 11. So he introduced me as being 11. And but I was, 10 years old. I was just a kid.
Do you remember who you competed with?
Um, it was some singer kid. His name was Lance. He was some singer kid who had grown up singing.
Mhm.
And so his vocally was amazing. I couldn't sing very well. I knew goodness gracious, great balls of fire. And then I played and they let me have a piano on stage. But
Nice.
I had to pantomime the piano. We couldn't actually plug it in. So I had to record the piano and then pretend to play it on the show, right?
Ow.
But losing was like the best thing ever, because it's kind of like, if you come to Las Vegas and you win on your first gamble, you're screwed. You're screwed because you're not going to ultimately win. So in the music business, there's a lot of no's. There's 9 no's to every yes, right? So for me, it was like getting that, no, you're not good enough, was the deflation, which made me work super hard. But from that show, because it was millions of people saw it, it was live. or not live. We recorded live, but like I get one shot. The phone was once that aired, the phone was just ringing. I was doing, I was playing for like all the when they do like the Golden Globe Awards and stuff. Their after parties. They bring in this little 11-year-old kid to come entertain, and I was doing all the big shows and these big Hollywood things, and I was living in Northern California at the time, so I was driving back out with my parents to do these shows, and it just built a career. It just slowly built a career, and speaking of like Elvis Presley, the reason I really like the Elvis model of business for music, Elvis comes out with this big hit, Heartbreak Hotel, the first big hit national for him, Heartbreak Hotel. And then he goes on a TV show and he sings Tutti Frutti by Little Richard, which just came out. He just sang a cover. And to me, that's brilliant because right now, if he's not labeling himself to a song, a lot of artists, who is that artist? Oh, he's the guy that does that song. But if I said, what's the song? What's the song Elvis is famous for? I bet you a room full of 100 people all say a different song.
Yeah.
Suspicious Minds, Don't Be Cruel, Teddy Bear, Burning Love, right? Everyone's gonna say different stuff. So I learned real quick, like when I watch Saturday Night Live and Bruno Mars comes on and he sings 24 Karat, then he goes on, one of the Jimmy Fallon, and he does it again, and then he goes, I'm like, those are opportunities to promote the next song, but record labels don't like that. And I learned that young. So like I learned that young because I worked with record labels and everything. So I'm like, I don't want to be on a record label. I don't want anyone telling me what to do. If I get an opportunity on TV, I want to go on one time and maybe just be in a tuxedo and play classical piano. And then the next one I'm going to play guitar. And then the next one I'm going to just to build different audiences and just to do something different. Like, why not? We're in an era where you don't have to do all that now. So that Star Search was a big pivotal moment for me. I mean, like it grew a career. I mean, then eventually I moved to Nashville, signed to Warner Brothers Records, started playing with a lot of different artists. Then I moved to Vegas, and I've been in Vegas, and I split my time in Vegas and Hawaii now. But like Vegas is where we have residencies here all the time, and we're COVID came around, and our touring stopped. Like it stopped. So we're just getting back to all the stuff we wanted to do in the past. So like now it's almost like too much. It's intense. Like we don't have a break. But I love it, man. Like I mean, I couldn't, like you're talking about buzz. Like I am buzzing to come out and play a room I've never played. Like I'm telling you, like that stuff for me is like that feeds me. That's without that, I don't know who I am. You know what I mean? So I guess that's where the energy comes from. I get on that stage and it's like you're taking the dog to the park. Like
Yeah.
I'm in the park. Let's go. Let's play. I've only got 90 minutes with y'all. Nice to meet you. Let's get to know each other. I want to get to know everybody in the crowd. I want them to know me. I want to, some people are going to walk away and go, I didn't care for that. And some people are going to go, that's the best thing I've ever seen. It's not even about that. It's not about what you think of me. It's did you have a good time? It's did
Yeah.
you have a good time? Because I realize I can do a lot of stuff on my instrument and stuff like that. And if you walk away and go, that guy was pretty good on the piano, or that guy. But if you just went, man, I had a good time. I want to do that again. Then when we come back, you want to come feel that again with me. And so do I. So that's what makes our show. We treat every show like I'm never going to do another one. We treat every show like we have a toast before we go on. And I said to the band, treat this like it's your first show you've ever played. And it's the last show you're ever going to play. You get one time. We're doing this. So our show's never the same. Never the same order of songs, never the same way we play the songs. It's very specific to the night and who's in the crowd and where they're sitting and how, the sound system, everything is very specific to the moment. I don't just come in there with a, pre-made package for everybody.
I hear you, brother. I hear you on that. Look, as we're slowly wrapping this up, new music. Is there going to be a new album or single or something coming out?
A new album's dropping, I think, a week and a half after we finish out there with you guys.
Cool.
A new album. I just released a doo-wop record that's pretty cool. It's like doing all the 50s doo-wop songs called Street Corner Confessions. That just came out. 10 of the songs were released as singles and they all charted at number one on the blues charts. And yeah, new record coming after that, but but yeah, just back in this touring mode now, which is super exciting, you know. And
Any,
where do I get one of those necklaces? Oh, I want one of those.
you know what? I'll tell you where to get it after we're
Yeah,
done.
all right. I
But
love
I'll
that.
make sure you get the information on that.
All right.
One other thing too, is there a chance that you're going to do a documentary soon or a book on yourself before somebody else does it for you?
You know, I've been slowly chiseling at a book because you know, being in the growing up in the entertainment industry is super unique. It's a unique experience, and I've gotten to experience like so much around the planet that most people don't see how that goes. So I've been slowly chipping. Whenever I get a moment, I'll sit at my computer and open it up and write kind of journalish kind of stuff for a book one day. Um, Also been working like a how-to songwriter's book and
Nice.
documentary. I've been approached with that a lot of times, but it's never materialized because you know, even on my album covers, I don't put my face on it a lot. I don't like making it about me. So, you know, having cameras in my face all the time would be a little nervous. I want it to be about the sound, you know, it's about the music, right? But I get it that that's all part of it, but like it's not my favorite part. So like that's not an exciting idea. The documentary would be I'll wait till I'm gone and then they can do like a story on me.
It's all about timing. Look, I'll let you
Right.
go. Have a safe trip on your tour, but more importantly, man, have a great show when you get down here in the Niagara Falls area. We're looking so forward to seeing you, the rest of the band, all the performers, and just lighting that place up. It's going to
I
be
can't
amazing.
wait.
Thank you again for this interview, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you.